G'day everyone, I'm the Red Scar, this is Red Scar Gaming. Today's the summary of my 6th draft in Murders at Karlov Manor. With my Orzhov low deck, it was ultimately not very successful. My opponents won 3 times and I won twice. And granted I had a little bit of bad luck just in the draft and in a few of the games actually as well. But yeah, without any further ado, I will do the normal summary of this draft. Crowbot Haunch was effective enough. I only got to play it twice, I think. The first time I actually made a mistake and basically sacked it not paying the extra 2, which, I mean, hey, gaining 3 life's fun, but it's not really what I want turn 3 or whatever it was. The adding the little puppies helps. It's good. I think it would have been a bit better if I'd gone a bit more focused on the wider and or death triggers, but didn't really get much of an opportunity there. Case of Gorgon's Kiss actually went really well in this particular deck. I used it 3 times, I think. Twice I used it straight away, destroy target creature, create a 4/4, which for 1 mana is pretty dang good. Snarling Gorehound, I'm sort of still generally happy with. It's for 1 mana, it's pretty effective. In this sort of deck, I was sort of hoping I'd get to use it a bit more because just about everything is 2 power anyway. So yeah, I didn't get to use it as much as I'd hoped, but yeah, once again, that might just be bad luck. Toxin Analysis, I didn't even get to use it all, actually, did I? No, I don't think so. There's probably an opportunity that I could have. I just didn't, for whatever the reason was at the time. For this kind of deck, it's probably the best sort of option I could have gone with as far as combat tricks. Oh, yeah, let's face it, Black's not great at combat tricks anyway, but the Investigate and the Destroy Target Attacking Creature is sort of how you want to go with it, and the gaining life is, like, even if it's just 1 life, like if I'd done it to say Snarling Gorehound, block my opponent's biggest creature, kill it, gain some life, or even if it had trample, lose a bit less life, still a good card. I didn't get to use it though. Neighborhood Guardian is actually, I think, the second card that I drafted. It's sort of the reason I went pretty low, though. Yeah, even when I was drafting, I didn't intend to go so low, but it worked sometimes. It's sort of one of those examples of a card that, look, as a 2/2 for 2, it's just like vanilla, yeah, good card, but it also has upside. So it's on the curve, plus has a positive ability. One of those cases where you don't actually have to build a deck around it. It's just that those few times that it does work helps a lot. Leering Onlooker, I didn't get to play at all, which, yeah, quite disappointed about, because it is one of the cards that is sort of why I drafted this. Sorry, I'll start that again. It's one of the cards where for 2 mana, 1/3 flying is good because it can block things, play defensively if you want to, but then still get more creatures out of it with the 4 mana later on. So yeah, I wish I got to use it. I'd probably draft it again in a similar circumstance. I just didn't get the opportunity this time. Repeat Offender, I drew fairly often, but there's 3 copies of it, so that's not too surprising. Didn't get to use it as effectively though. I was sort of hoping I could rely on its activated ability a bit more often, because there's not many, three or such mana cost stuff I can play otherwise. So I thought that I'd have a bit more mana, sort of floating most of the time. So I was sort of hoping I'd activate Repeat Offender a bit more often and maybe get through a bit more often. But at least in this particular draft, there just wasn't enough opportunities where I got to play it effectively. Soul Search, in hindsight, probably the worst card I kept. I probably didn't really need to. Look, there's maybe one time that it could have worked, but yeah, I just didn't get to play it enough, so I'm not drafting that one again. Sanitation Automaton is a card that I think generally goes well in sort of whatever deck you're going. And this particular deck, I was hoping it would work a bit more effectively. I did only get to play it once, and I did get to Surveil one to good use. But I mean, Surveil one's never going to win you the game, but it's a good card that is sackable. Is pretty much why I got it. Due Diligence, I actually did pretty dang effectively. It was game 4, I think I won because of Due Diligence. And yeah, did that extra bit of damage. Give 2 creatures Vigilance is certainly a good card. It probably has better use in, I'm guessing, actually a red-white deck, because red tends to have a bit more like First Strike or Trample and that sort of thing, and +2 Vigilance helps. But yeah, I didn't get to use it terribly effectively this time. Make Your Move. I was hoping I would get to play the Destroy Target Creature with power 4 or greater a bit more often. Partly because I was hoping I could go at least match my opponent wide and just keep all the big creatures out, basically. But and plus Destroy Target Artifact Enchantment is good. But yeah, I just didn't get to use it this time. Maybe bad luck, but maybe I shouldn't have relied on it so much. Sanguine Savior, I did get a bit of use out of. It's sort of one of those cards that it's effective when it's effective, but otherwise it's a waste of a card. If you play it for 3 as a 2/1 flying lifelink, it's sort of 3 mana, not terribly well used, but paying the ultimately 5 mana for it to play and trigger its activated ability, I suppose that's what it's called. Yeah, it's pretty good then. And I did get to use it, I think, once again, game 4. Was it 4? Anyway, one of the games. Might have been 2. Anyway, helped effectively, but at least in this case didn't do terribly well. I think I would draft it again in a similar deck, but yeah, I'd need some other cards though. Treacherous Greed, I did get to use only once. It was more so just because I drew it once, but in this case, I sacrificed a puppy token that I created with the Haunch. Must have been game, I think 3. But yeah, I got to play that, draw 3 cards. It's good card in that sort of balances the game out a little bit. You can afford to leave it go a little longer. And in the case of this deck, because I've got so much low mana cost stuff, I was sort of hoping that if I had too much mana, that I could play that, sack a 1/1 or a 2/1 or whatever, and draw the cards that I needed for the rest of the turn. Is sort of what I was hoping to go with that. In this case, yeah, just didn't get to use it as often as I wanted to. I'd probably draft it again though. The Aurelia's Vindicator. Basically every time I played her, I won. But yeah, didn't get to play her very often. Even just as a 4/2, she's a pretty damn good card. But with the disguise ability, you can really break the game down to your advantage, hopefully. So yeah, definitely a card that I'll draft again. Night Drinker, more that card, Night Drinker. I can never pronounce that word. Anyway, I did get to play him once. In this particular case, my opponent just basically destroyed it. I long story short, sacrificed it to play it basically. To block with it. But I mean, that's a fair use, I think, in that particular case. It's a good card, but you do have to be a little bit careful paying ultimately 5 mana for a 4/2 flying. So you've got to be a little bit careful doing that. In this case, maybe not again, but I needed something a bit big when I drafted it anyway. Absolving Lamassu, I only got to play it once, and it was at the end of a game that I knew I'd already lost anyway, game 5, I think. So, yeah, it's once again, it's basically I just needed it for some way to have a big creature is why I drafted it. But yeah, it's a 4/3. It's not amazing. Has the Vigilante similar sort of fashion? It's actually just it is. Oh no, it's not quite the biggest creature in this deck, but it's a card that goes well with the rest of the team. I just didn't get to play him as often as I wanted to, and when I did play him, it sort of ended up that I'd either won the game already or I'd already lost the game. So it's sort of, either I should have relied on him more and gone a bit even lower on the mana curve as far as what I should have drafted, or I should have not drafted him at all and gone a bit high. Well, I wanted to go higher in mana cost anyway, but yeah, another one might have been good. But anyway, we'll see how we go. Push and pull. I got some use out of it, mainly push. There was game 2, I think it was, that I considered using pull, but it just wouldn't have quite won me the game. I did play the push side of it instead, which happened to work out well. It's just one of those cards that, look, if you got the options, may as well take it. It's a generally good card. Persuasive Interrogators. Once again, I've drafted this card a few times, and if you've got the whole investigate triggers stuff, then it is a really good card. But it's if you're not playing a clue deck, it's basically just a 5/6, which I drafted it in this deck because I needed just a big dumb creature at some stage. And I did get to play it, but the game was too late, so I lost that one anyway. And note that I did drop one land, down to 16 here, not 17, because I'm pretty low on the curve, and I think actually it was game 1 and 3, which both games I lost, I drew too many lands. So yeah, like if you draw too many lands in a low mana cost deck, regardless of what sort of format you're thinking of, you lose very quickly. And in this case, it was a bit of an example. Maybe I should have even dropped one more land. Maybe, because I'm pretty dang low on the curve. I mean, you look at that graph there. I'm like pretty much like turn 3. If I have 3 mana, I can play the vast majority of this deck. So yeah, I only really needed 3 mana out at any time. As far as the sideboard goes, Sanctuary Wall is actually maybe a card I should have kept. Lets me go a bit more defensive, though. Yeah, I suppose the question comes to, was I trying to play low aggressive or low control, low long game? Yeah, I suppose with the power of hindsight, I'm not actually sure. So, yeah, I maybe could have done better with Sanctuary Wall. Essence of Antiquity, similar fashion. He's a 1/10 defensive, essentially. When you do the whole disguise thing, it can be very effective. I haven't really seen it played in standard or modern or anything like that, but yeah, I'm sure it has its moments. There's probably actually a good little combo in I'm guessing modern, just off the top of my head, that it would work really well. But I'm sure there's some other way to do it. But in this draft, for that much mana, I don't think I wanted it. Deduce is always a fun card, but once again, going blue for just those 2 cards, I don't think so. Deduce is probably the only one that I would have gone or splashed blue with. Though I suppose take out maybe Toxin Analysis, maybe. Alley Assailant, I'm just generally not terribly happy with that card anyway, because you pay 3 for a 3/3, and then pay 6 for a 3/3 that gains you 3 life, loses 3 life. Like, there is the odd occasion where it has its moments, but I'm glad I didn't keep it. It's just not, it's not a good card. I don't like it. But hey, feel free to yell at me and tell me that it's actually a really good card and I should have played it. Cerebral Confiscation is probably one of the cards I should have kept instead of, say, Make Your Move. Just one of them anyway, because there was enough circumstances that my opponent just simply had more cards in hand than I did. Which, look, I'm playing low mana cost anyway, but Cerebral Confiscation may have helped, especially the opponent discards target card from hand can be very effective. So maybe I should have had that instead of one of the Make Your Move. Macabre Reconstruction, in hindsight, was probably a card I should have put in deck. There was plenty of times when a creature had died, or actually, to phrase it a little bit differently, I attacked the creature knowing it would die, so Macabre Reconstruction would have been particularly effective. That, instead of Soul Search, would have been great. It's one of those cards that even if you top deck it, sure, it's not the opportune moment, but paying 4 to get 2 creature cards from your graveyard to your hand is good in a draft. And most of my things I probably could have played like 1 or 2 of them that turn anyway. I think, off the top of my head, there were 2 or 3 Macabre Reconstructions through the draft, so maybe I could have drafted more of them. I certainly would have gone... in hindsight, I would have got rid of Soul Search for Macabre Reconstruction, and if I'd got a second one, maybe Treacherous Greed, maybe? Yeah, or Persuasive Interrogators, maybe? Yeah, because Persuasive Interrogators, as I said, is basically the big dumb creature, but in this deck, I'm either going to win quickly or lose quickly, so yeah, for 6 mana, I don't think it's worth it in this sense. Rot Farm Mortarpede was... When I drafted it, it was basically the only option for sort of big creature at the time. I don't think there was any opportunities where I would have been able to get rid of a creature card from my graveyard. So, which is basically why I didn't put it in the deck. If I'd got even a few cases of that, then it would have been good. But otherwise, it's 4 for a 3/4. Maybe I could have had 1 instead of Night Drink more ride that one. Maybe just for the sort of large size creature comparatively, but yeah, I'm not terribly unhappy. Agency Coroner is another option of just big dumb creature, though it's very much the defensive. I suppose in this particular deck he would have been alright, because there's plenty of times when I had... Yeah, I'm just thinking... Oh, sorry, I was about to say, there was plenty of times I had lots of creatures, but when I did have lots of creatures, I won those games pretty quickly, so I didn't really need to sacrifice another creature. And it was pretty early that I'd at least more or less won those games anyway. So maybe Agency Coroner instead of Absolving Lamassu even? Maybe? Clutching at straws there, but yeah, I really should play it a bit more often, because look, I haven't had success with it before. I haven't seen anyone have terrible success with it before. I'm sure there's situations where it's good, but I should try it at least once. Felonious Rage, pretty damn good card, but I don't think I'm splashing red for it. And Thinking Cap, it is good if you have a lot of detectives, but I just didn't have any in this deck. So yeah, that's basically that one. This is probably a good example of learn from my mistakes. Once again, my luck in the draft was not great anyway, so there's a little bit of There's a little bit of I just got unlucky and didn't get some cards, but I'm sure there was also some times where, with the power of hindsight, like looking back at the video, that you go, oh, you really should have drafted that one, or yeah, you shouldn't have picked persuasive interrogators. You should have picked this card instead, or something like that. But anyway, that's partly why I do these videos, because you hopefully learn from my mistakes, and hopefully I learn from them too. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.